Running Back Nation, what is good? Sixers sickos. What is good? Thanks for continuing to rock with me. The free agent thing has been crazy so far. Let's cover some news, rumors, reports, and things like that that came out today, and talk about the Sixers roster and basically what we think and what else they need to do, and all that good stuff, man. Give me 1 million likes on the video, okay? Check it out. First thing we got to talk about is right here. Cameron Payne was arrested for allegedly refusing to give officers his real name during a police investigation. He told officers that his name was Terry Johnson. And he said, quote, "If you want to arrest me for giving you a fake name, congratulations." Yo! Cameron Payne's that dude, bro. Cameron Payne is an absolute dog on the court, and you know what? Off the court, too. Cop walks up to him and says, "Hey, man, we're investigating something that went down in this area. What's your name?" He says, "Terry Johnson." So you can trust Cameron Payne to bring the energy when you sub him in off the bench, and you can trust Cameron Payne to not be a snitch. He ain't squealing. And from now on, Cameron Payne will be referred to as Terry Johnson from me. Okay, so the Sixers still need guards. I think Tyrese Maxey's the only guard on the roster right now. Hashtag sign Terry Johnson. Okay, the Sixers need to sign Terry Johnson immediately. Actually, like in all seriousness, Cameron Payne and Tyrese Maxey, I kind of like that backcourt. Small backcourt. I would still like them to have a bigger, more pass first type of point guard. In a perfect world, Malcolm Brogdon. It'll be interesting to see what they do at the point guard position. But you know what, man? Shout out to Cameron Payne, aka Terry Johnson, for being a dog on and off the court. And the police were not getting any info out of him. Hashtag free Terry Johnson. Hashtag sign Terry Johnson. All right, let's move on, man. This came out. DeMar DeRozan may sign a 1-year deal with the team in order to enter free agency in 2025 when more teams have cap space. The Bulls are still struggling to move the players they've been trying to move forever. What would you say, Sixers Nation? What would you say to a 1-year deal to DeMar DeRozan? I know the fit doesn't sound great, especially, now that you have Paul George there, Maxey and Embiid. Kelly Oubre is still out there, but DeRozan's fit not being a floor stretcher is always interesting. But a 1-year deal? What if DeMar DeRozan just agrees, "Hey man, I'll sign with Philly for 1 year. 1 year, I don't know what it would be, man. 17 million or something. It's going to be probably more than that. It depends who is. Again, they're saying this because the minimum, the teams that have the cap space to sign him are becoming less and less. So, I know it probably won't happen, but 1 year of DeMar DeRozan, maybe off the bench, can't say no to that. You know what I mean? But it probably wouldn't happen. He would probably sign a 1-year deal with a team that could give him probably upwards of 20-something million, right? I wouldn't expect DeMar DeRozan to sign a cheap deal, but just a 1-year deal. But a pipe dream of a guy like DeMar DeRozan being like your sixth man off the bench. I like that a lot. Let me know what you think. Now let's get down to the nitty gritty, okay? The Sixers are expected to waive or trade Paul Reed this offseason as the team attempts to acquire another forward. Philadelphia is scouring the free agent market and potential trade options to land another forward, with Paul Reed expected to be waived or used in a trade, league sources told Hoops Hype. We kind of saw this coming when the Sixers signed Andre Drummond to a 2-year deal. Paul Reed basically becoming unplayable in the playoffs was unfortunate. There's still, his contract for next season became not guaranteed because they didn't make it out of the first round. But the Sixers still owe him $7 million, and they're looking for another forward because flat out they're looking for 3-point shooters. They want Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey to be surrounded by nothing but shooters, and that's how it should have been from the very, very beginning. I know a lot of guys are saying we should start Paul Reed at the 4 with Joel. I don't know. Nick Nurse said you were going to see that last year, and then he tried it for 30 seconds and it didn't really work. So the Sixers are going to move on from Paul Reed like we knew they were. They're going to try to clear that $7 million somehow, some way. And a player who fits much more of what the 76ers need at the power forward position also popped up in conversation. And that is the player that I've been talking about. Even just yesterday off the top of my head, I said I would love for him to be the Sixers power forward. Dorian Finney Smith. The 76ers have exploratory interest in trading for Nets forward Dorian Finney Smith, league sources told Hoops Hype, but nothing is considered imminent there. Mike Escato said the Philadelphia 76ers are still loading up and are now showing interest in Dorian Finney Smith. I thought, this is why I said his name yesterday. I think it makes the absolute most sense with the Brooklyn Nets unloading all of their contracts and taking picks in return, Mikal Bridges trade, etc. I would definitely expect the Brooklyn Nets to trade Dorian Finney Smith. He has 2 years left on his contract at about $15 million per year. He has 1 year, 25, 20. He's under contract this upcoming season. He has a year, 25, 26, and then he has a player option after that, still at about $15 million per season. That is a dirt cheap contract as far as NBA contracts go in 2024. And a player like Dorian Finney Smith, who is known as a perimeter defender and a catch and shoot 3-point shooter and a pretty solid rebounder as well, kind of perfectly fits the bill for the 76ers as far as what they want, what they're looking for now. He's 31 years old, so experience, veteran mentality type of stuff. Not a guy that like Paul Reed, for example, who you're just hoping can figure out how to play basketball. Experienced NBA role players. They continue to search for them. They continue to be interested in them. So Dorian Finney-Smith fits what the Sixers need skill-wise, defensively, offensively. He fits what they need experience-wise, and he fits basically with their what their projected cap space is looking like after the Paul George signing, and it makes perfect sense. I think the Nets are probably going to try to get multiple first-round picks. They said that last year at the trade deadline. Rumors came out that the Nets were looking for multiple first-round picks for Dorian Finney-Smith. It never happened. I don't think anybody's given up multiple first-round picks for him. But I think, just really quick, I think the Sixers are probably going to have to trade Paul Reed in a situation to try to land Dorian Finney-Smith to clear that $7 million to make salaries work, maybe multiple players to make the salaries match. So you could see a Paul Reed trade in a Dorian Finney-Smith trade, whether it's a 2-team trade, maybe a 3-team trade. But it makes sense that the Sixers are interested. I hope it happens. There would still be things that they need to do. There's still a point guard situation. I don't know if I'm content with Tyrese Maxey just being thrown back into the starting point guard role and everybody hoping that he can be some kind of, facilitator versus what he actually is, which is a combo playmaking, scoring guard. But this is another move that I would really like to see. Hopefully the Sixers can pull it off. You know what I mean? And people are talking about Dorian Finney-Smith and how he hasn't been as good as he was the past couple of seasons. That's fine. If you look at 2020 and 2021, he was upwards of over 39% from three at over 5 attempts per game. Once he was traded to the Brooklyn Nets, his shooting numbers came down to a little under 5 attempts per game at 30% in 2023, 35% last season. And yeah, his 40% three-point shooting at 5 attempts per game comes from one, Luka Doncic, of course, and the Sixers don't have a Luka Doncic facilitator. But keep in mind, the Sixers do have a center who draws the most gravity we've seen since Shaquille O'Neal in the early 2000s. So yeah, you don't have a Luka Doncic kind of facilitator that could get a guy like Dorian Finney-Smith some wide open looks like he was getting back in Dallas. But if you think Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, and Paul George taking on defensive pressure is not going to leave Dorian Finney-Smith as wide open as he was in Dallas, then you're just lying to yourself. So you don't necessarily need Luka Doncic for Dorian Finney-Smith to get 5 looks a game at 40%. I think he could have a little bit of a resurgence to his NBA career as far as a high-level 3-and-D player because of the gravity that Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, and Paul George will generate from the defense. He's 31 years old. And, you know, I think the Dorian Finney-Smith thing makes perfect sense. Here's his contract. Once again, he's under contract this upcoming season. He's under contract this upcoming season. He has a player option next season at $15 million per year. So I think it makes perfect sense for the Sixers to be after Dorian Finney-Smith. I think it makes perfect sense for them to be interested in trading Paul Reed. And I think they should be interested in bringing back Terry Johnson because he is a dog. Give me all your thoughts, man. The point guard situation is still interesting. Again, in a perfect world, Malcolm Brogdon for me. He's over there in Washington. You know, he could still be had for maybe a protected first-round pick or something like that, depending on what the Wizards are looking for. I'm not a cap room expert by any means. The Sixers are they went from the most cap space in the NBA to throwing out contracts like crazy. So who even knows what the real number looks like right now? I know Tyrese Maxey was signed using bird rights, so his max contract won't count against the salary cap. They're not going to have a lot of money to work with after signing Paul George and Kelly Oubre and giving Andre Drummond the contract. You could see a Paul Reed trade here. Oh, yeah, I wanted to say this. How would you guys feel? Because I think this is very possible. Paul Reed and Ricky Council could both be traded in a package for Dorian Finney-Smith. How would you guys feel about that? I would hate to see Ricky Council go out the door. But if it's for a veteran 3-and-D defensive power forward who can shoot threes and help on the perimeter, it is what it is. You know, make it happen. The Sixers are going all in to build a championship roster. We can't sit here and cry over young G League prospect guys and players like that. You know what I'm saying? The thing that I'm still a little bit skeptical about, again, is the point guard situation. What do you guys think, man? Do you think this is how the Sixers move forward and Tyrese Maxey is back to being the starting point guard, or would you like to see a Kyle Lowry re-signing? You know, at least a Kyle Lowry re-signing, at least a facilitating guard who can shoot, who can set up, you know, Maxey to be the scoring threat that he is. I think it worked so well last year until Lowry collapsed in the playoffs because he's 49 years old, but it worked very well because Tyrese Maxey is he's just a bucket, man. He's just a bucket. His playmaking is coming along every year, but I don't expect him to be like a Kyle Lowry type of point guard. Let me know what you guys think, man. Or do you think Tyrese Maxey should be thrown back into just being the starting point guard and he'll evolve more into a Ja Morant type of game, not one for one athletically or anything, but as far as play style, a score first point guard who can play make a little bit and then have veteran point guards off the bench. Maybe Cameron Payne, maybe Kyle Lowry. Maybe they do facilitate a trade for like a Malcolm Brogdon. I know Brogdon's paid pretty decently, so maybe that wouldn't work with the cap. But give me all your thoughts. I think the Sixers, you know, if they fill out the power forward position right now, then the point guard is really the last thing they need to be looking at, and they would start to look like they have a more complete roster. Again, this could go all off season, but these are the current rumors and news for your Philadelphia 76ers. I'm right here. I'm right here to keep you in tune, man. Holla at me, all right? Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, all those things, man. You guys are the best. I'm out.